It happened on 26th of December, 2004. No one saw it coming. Out in the Indian Ocean, an undersea earthquake set off a massive tsunami. This wave would go on to kill 250,000 people. That morning, on a remote Indonesian island, something incredible is said to have happened. Even before the wave arrived, the almost 80,000 inhabitants had packed up, left their houses, and fled into the mountains. There they waited until the deadly wave had passed. How did the people on the island know a tsunami was coming? They said they followed the animals. The buffalo and chickens had been agitated that morning. Did the animals know something the humans couldn't? Is it possible that animals know more than we do because they notice things we are unaware of? And could this knowledge help us? Imagine you're an eagle. As well as seeing more from up there, you notice things that humans don't. Different smells and sounds, temperature, humidity, and who knows what else. And what about animals that live underground or underwater? What do they know about the world? There must be countless animals who know things we can't even guess at.
Les phoques sont des animaux qui sont capables de plonger à très grande profondeur, qui résistent beaucoup à la pression. Et là, on n'a absolument aucune lumière, c'est complètement noir. Et la façon dont on pense qu'ils arrivent à détecter leur proie est grâce à leurs vibrisses, qui sont leurs petites moustaches.
As they can access it so easily, seals certainly know more about the deep sea than we do. They hunt there and use information we don't know. Animals also have more information in areas where their senses are sharper than ours.
Der Mensch ist ja ein totaler Generalist. Wir können ganz vieles so ein bisschen gut. Ja? Das Einzige, was wir richtig gut können, ist denken. Die meisten Tiere können eine oder zwei Sachen ganz besonders gut. Geier haben wahnsinnig gute Augen. Die können aus 5 Kilometer Höhe eine tote Antilope auf dem Boden sehen.
Animals also have another mysterious knowledge advantage. Some can sense things what no human can. Impending natural disasters. Do animals have some kind of sixth sense? For example, here on Mount Etna, the goats will behave strangely before the volcano erupts.
Entweder, wenn es nachts ist, dann werden sie ganz nervös, fangen an rumzulaufen. Wenn es tagsüber ist, dann gehen sie in die Gegenden, die sie als sicher empfinden.
With animals' help, we may be able to find out more about the world. It's something people have always dreamt of. Niels Holgersson flies through the air with geese and sees the world through their eyes and starts to understand them better. We still see it today. In the extremely successful Avatar series, the blue protagonists dive with water beings into their world. But now, back to reality. These special animal perspectives must hold infinite information about the world. We could use this, and their heightened sensory perception, and maybe even their mysterious premonitions. It's not a new idea. Take miners, for example. They used to take canaries down the mines as the birds noticed dangerous gases much earlier than people would. This allowed them to get to safety in time.
Ja, ich denke, dass traditionell Menschen den Tieren viel näher sind. Wir haben uns da sehr weit entfernt.
Von uns Europäern werden 77% der Menschen in Städten geboren. Da kann dieser Bezug zu der Natur gar nicht so entstehen. Wer von uns kann die Spur eines Wildschweins von der eines Rehs noch unterscheiden?
Somehow we need to get closer to animals again in order to potentially use their advantages. Take the example of the disputed sixth sense that predicts earthquakes. Do animals really have it? And how can you find out? Can you measure a sixth sense? It must be possible, or stories like the one about the tsunami would remain nothing but nice anecdotes. They attempted it in China in the 1960s, shortly before a catastrophic earthquake in Haicheng.
So a lot of research institutes, they were interested in this, and the scientists from these research institutes brought their animals over at the first, right? So they have a lab animal, chickens, rabbits, mice, rats, dogs, and they brought them over, and then they set up shop, so to speak. They set up their observation points, begin to record, begin to observe, and they're trying to figure out animal behavior and earthquakes. Is there any relationship between them or not?
The big earthquake hit in 1975. It was February and freezing cold. Suddenly, snakes crawled out of their winter caves and froze to death on the surface. Based on this observation and others, the authorities evacuated the whole city. A short while later, the massive earthquake began. Thousands of human lives were saved. The snakes apparently predicted the disaster. But fundamentally, is it really smart to evacuate a megapolis because of a few snakes? You would have to be absolutely certain that a severe earthquake really was coming. And what if people don't notice any unusual animal behavior, as was the case in Tangshan 1 year later?
In summer, July 1976, there was a huge earthquake happened that basically destroyed the whole city and killed 250,000 people. The Chinese scientists were not able to successfully detect much of anything about the coming of this Tangshan earthquake.
Were they on the wrong track with their animal research?
Later, they would come to a realization that every earthquakes actually might behave very differently.
Is it even possible to find out what is happening below the surface and what animals even notice? As of now, we don't even know the earthquake warning signs that some animals supposedly notice before seismographs can detect anything.
They will produce all sorts of signals. It could be chemical, it could be electrical, it could be magnetic, it could be any number of things.
Wir wissen im Moment auch nicht, ob die Tiere es spüren, hören oder sehen. Wir wissen auch nicht, welche Tiere es sind.
Ultimately, is it all superstition, as some scientists say? In any case, there is still no animal-based early warning system. But these farm animals are about to deliver measurable data to finally prove their predictive ability. With these new tags, biologist Martin Wikelski wants to measure the energy consumption of various farm animals. 24 hours a day. Then he will be able to see whether the animals really did become measurably more agitated shortly before an earthquake.
Das Problem bei solchen Naturereignissen ist, dass jeder im Nachhinein meint, da wäre irgendwas gewesen vorher. Ob das wirklich so ist oder nicht, müssen wir einfach wirklich mit harten Daten festnageln. Das heißt, wir müssen vorher messen, was macht ein Tier, dann während diesem Ereignis und danach.
Only then can we possibly, one day, make predictions based on animal behavior. Obviously, Wikelski will do the tests in an earthquake zone, in the mountains of Norwich, Italy. He will tag animals that live here, doing what they always do, just being. So, cows, sheep, rabbits, chickens and turkeys, and dogs. First, he wanted to see how he could even measure the animals' behavior, then compare it to seismic activity recorded during earthquakes. And then came the revelation. The animals' measured energy consumption and the earthquakes in the region show a clear correlation.
Die Daten zeigen, dass die Tiere ihren täglichen Rhythmus haben, die sind irgendwann mal aktiv, dann wieder weniger aktiv. Aber Stunden vor einem Erdbeben, vor einem großen Erdbeben, zeigen die ein komplett verrücktes Verhalten, wie bei einem Börsencrash. Die drehen alle durch und nicht nur eins, sondern alle zusammen.
The scientist also noticed something else astonishing.
Wir haben bei den Tieren gesehen, dass sie uns unterschiedliche Vorwarnzeiten geben. Wenn wir ein Epizentrum oder Hypozentrum von dem zukünftigen Erdbeben haben, das direkt unter dem Tier ist, dann bekommen wir 12 bis 15 Stunden Vorwarnzeit. Wenn es 20 Kilometer entfernt ist, dann bekommen wir zum Teil nur 3 oder 4 Stunden Vorwarnzeit. Das heißt, es muss ein Signal geben, das langsam, relativ langsam von diesem zukünftigen Hypozentrum bis zum Tier wandert. Und genau das haben wir gefunden.
So the animals really must sense a signal. But what the signal is remains a mystery. And mainstream science is still skeptical.
Most scientists would say, this is probably a waste of time.
Really? A waste of time? Sometimes we do happily rely on the keener senses of animals. Avalanche dogs, for example. They certainly sense more than we do. Otherwise, we could search for avalanche victims ourselves. But so far, few trailblazers have been confident enough to research animals' sixth sense. They include the physicist Helmut Tribuch. After a severe earthquake in Italy in the 1970s, he asked residents if they had noticed anything beforehand. Many had noticed agitated animals. His neighbor Anna asked him why her cows had known that an earthquake was coming, but humans hadn't. Tribuch researched the subject for decades. His theory: the warning sign of an earthquake is oftentimes a gas that is emitted and creates a sort of greenhouse climate. This is what the animals would react to.
There was a lot of resistance and skepticism. Most scientists felt that it was just too anecdotal to be taken seriously, and so on. So he tried to get his work published, and there were a lot of people who say, no, this is just not scientific.
A Japanese geophysicist also tried to understand the earthquake warning signs. Matoji Ikea. He noticed fish that would jump out of the water or come up from the deep sea before an earthquake. For centuries, the Japanese have believed the catfish to be a god of earthquakes. Ikea discovered how catfish respond to electromagnetic radiation extremely sensitively. Were electromagnetic signals, then, the mysterious warning signs? But Ikea's research was also ridiculed.
The research on animal behavior and earthquakes is kind of fall between stools. What we say is it's interdisciplinary by definition. It's involved biology, involved geophysics, involved seismology and geology, and involved zoology, physiology, and all these different fields. And it's kind of marginal to each of these fields.
Whether animals have a sixth sense has remained contentious to date due to lack of data. For the case of earthquakes, but also tsunamis and volcanoes, the scientific findings so far are still too unreliable. But now, back to our eagle. How do things look, considering only the animal's point of view? If we disregard this mysterious sixth sense, and we look at the information they are constantly gathering.
Ce qu'on fait, c'est qu'on leur pose des biologueurs, ce qu'on appelle, ou des petites balises qui contiennent des capteurs qui sont capables d'enregistrer des données, non seulement sur le comportement des animaux, mais en plus sur l'environnement dans lequel ils vivent.
The biologgers are science's eyes and ears in the animals' lives. Now their roots can be traced. Scientists can see how they behave and whether they are healthy. 24 hours a day, over long periods.
Also wir können zum Beispiel übers Besendern von Tieren rausfinden, wo steckt denn der wirkliche Wirt von Ebola, von Krankheiten. Wir können tierische Informationen nutzen, um globale Vorhersagen über Klimawandel zu machen.
Suddenly we have access to the world of animals and their unique daily routines. The new technology should also allow us to resolve age-old conflicts with animals. For example, with cheetahs.
Der Gepard ist ein ganz faszinierendes Tier und unter den Katzen wirklich ein Sonderling.
It holds at least 2 records.
Zum einen natürlich den Rekord, dass er das schnellste Landsäugetier der Welt ist mit über 100 km/h. Und leider hält er auch noch einen anderen traurigen Rekord, denn unter allen großen Katzen Afrikas ist er der seltenste.
Some of the lost cheetahs live on farmland in Namibia and Botswana. And until recently, their numbers kept dropping because farmers intentionally hunted them. It seemed hopeless. But using the cheetah's knowledge, people found a solution. For 2 months, 300 adult cheetahs had to wear collars that revealed their locations and routes. The analysis of the data showed something surprising.
Okay, wenn das hier die Savanne Afrikas ist, dann, als wir das Projekt gestartet haben, sind wir davon ausgegangen, dass die Geparde irgendwie überall gleichmäßig verteilt in dieser Savanne vorkommen. Was uns die Biologger dann aber verraten haben, ist, dass es solche Kommunikationszentren von den Geparden gibt. Das sind so ein bisschen die Stammkneipen sozusagen der Geparde.
Certain trees are their local pubs. They meet and leave information for others who like to go there. Cool bars where they can get to know each other.
Und da gab es eben immer wieder Situationen, wo Farmer ihre Herden mit den Kühen und mit den kleinen Kälbchen hier ganz nah an so einer Stammkneipe stehen hatten. Und natürlich hat das dazu geführt, dass alle Geparden, die hier hingekommen sind, sich an diesen Kälbchen bedient haben.
This is why the farmers shot the cheetahs. But since they understand the cheetah's point of view and routines and know about the pups, they've found a solution to the conflict. Calves can no longer be near the pups.
Und das Weideland ist aber für die Farmer trotzdem nicht verloren, denn man kann hier gut nach wie vor große Bullen zum Beispiel weiden lassen, an denen die Geparden eh kein Interesse haben. War das nicht insgesamt viel zu lang und so?
No, we understood. But what did humans ultimately gain from the cheetah's knowledge?
Die Rinderherden aus diesen Kommunikationszentren rauszubewegen, hat die Verluste für die Farmer um über 80% reduziert und damit den Konflikt zwischen Menschen und Geparden tatsächlich nachhaltig gelöst.
Some areas on Earth are even remoter than the African steppe, places that humans can't reach. In the deep sea, for example, or under the ice. Satellites can't help with this. In some cases, we can't even send measuring devices down there. But it's important to know exactly what goes on underwater, to understand how the sea is currently changing.
Dans le contexte de réchauffement climatique que l'on connaît actuellement, on sait que les océans sont capables d'absorber plus de 90% de la chaleur produite en excès et à peu près 50% du dioxyde de carbone, donc ce gaz à effet de serre. Et donc les océans sont vraiment un allié, un tampon pour essayer de limiter les effets du réchauffement climatique. Par contre, il y a des changements qui se passent au niveau des océans. Des augmentations de température, des changements de la structuration de la colonne d'eau et potentiellement aussi au niveau des courants.
What exactly is happening down there and how the conditions are changing would probably remain a mystery if it weren't for these guys. Seals. Elephant seals are especially useful because they spend 90% of their lives underwater. With blubber to protect them from the cold and the ability to store oxygen in their muscles, they can stay underwater for up to 2 hours. And they dive to depths of several thousand meters, including underneath the ice.
They are perfect for so many reasons.
Things that happen underwater can change the whole world, because the sea's currents affect the Earth's climate.
Le courant circumpolaire antarctique, c'est le courant qui tourne d'est en ouest tout autour du continent antarctique. C'est le courant le plus puissant de la planète, qui parcourt à peu près 24 000 km et qui est connecté à tous les océans du monde. Et il nourrit tous ces océans d'eau froide et pleine de nutriments. Et donc si on a un changement au niveau du courant circumpolaire antarctique, on peut avoir des répercussions via les courants, par exemple le Gulf Stream, jusque dans l'Europe du Nord. Donc le pêcheur de la mer Baltique sera affecté par un changement qui se passe tout en bas en Antarctique dans ce courant circumpolaire.
Picture it as a massive conveyor belt that moves cold water rather than suitcases around the Earth. The changes of these suitcases is being measured by seals. Using biologgers, data can now be gathered in the most remote places on Earth.
En règle générale, on veut savoir où les animaux vont, donc ils ont un GPS ou une balise Argos qui permet de les localiser par satellite. En plus de ça, on a des capteurs environnementaux, des capteurs de température, de salinité, de lumière pour déterminer soit la luminosité dans la colonne d'eau, soit les flashs de bioluminescence. On a aussi développé des capteurs d'oxygène dissous pour savoir le taux d'oxygénation dans les océans.
This data and the seals have become vital for marine research.
Ils nous ont fourni 99% des informations océanographiques qu'on a sous la banquise sont fournies par les phoques et près de 80% dans l'océan austral.
It doesn't look the same as an avatar, but the new technology enables us to get an idea what things actually look like from marine animals' point of view. But is it actually okay to fit animals with small computers? After all, we haven't asked their permission. This doesn't look fun. We stick devices on the heads of seals and put rucksacks on vultures.
Die Sender, die wir draufpacken, bei einem Geier, der ungefähr 6 Kilo wiegt, wiegen dann so 40 Gramm. Das ist auf jeden Fall in Ordnung. Wir haben Geier, die mittlerweile seit 8 Jahren fliegen. Wir wissen, dass sie schon in der Zeit oft jedes Jahr Junge bekommen haben, dass es denen gut geht.
C'est vrai que y a des études qui ont montré que le stress engendré par l'équipement d'une balise par un phoque est de très courte durée. Et moi, de mon expérience personnelle, je sais que les animaux, en règle générale, au bout de quelques minutes, retournent complètement à leur vie normale.
These mini-computers are the key. Our key to the animal's world and point of view. And they give us even more animal data. Via biologgers, we can use animals' extremely sharp senses. For example, the sharp vision of vultures, who spent all day circling above the savannah in kettles, looking for carrion.
Das heißt, wenn wir es schaffen, durch die Augen der Geier in die Ökosysteme zu gucken, dann wissen wir oder die Ranger und Rangerinnen sofort, wo passieren irgendwelche komischen Sachen gerade in den Nationalparken? Wo wird gestorben? Wo wird verdurstet? Wo ist vielleicht eine Vergiftung? Es passiert leider regelmäßig auch, dass Tiere vergiftet werden.
If something is amiss in the savannah, the vultures see it first. That's why newly developed biologgers are revealing more and more about life as a vulture.
Da sind Beschleunigungssensoren dran, mit denen wir eine Bewegungssignatur bekommen, aus der wir genau schließen können, was der Geier in diesem Moment macht. Frisst der, schläft der, fliegt der, putzt er sich, streitet er sich mit Artgenossen. Wir können sogar sagen, ob er an was Großem oder an was Kleinem frisst. Dann wird gezielt die Kamera ausgelöst und ein Bild gemacht.
And via object detection, the biologger identifies what the vulture has photographed. A large dead animal alerts and mobilizes the rangers immediately. A bit like in a football match, where a team of referees watches to ensure the rules are followed. Bernard Gzimik first allowed us to see the world from the air back in 1959 with his film Serengeti Shall Not Die. Now things are a little more advanced. Thousands of electronic Niels Holgerssons are traveling on the backs of animals worldwide. Turtles are using them to gather data that helps predict tropical cyclones. Albatrosses are flying over the sea and gathering weather data. Sharks are measuring carbon dioxide levels in the water. And tagged fruit bats are telling scientists where new pathogens might emerge.
Ich glaube, in der Forschung ist es oft so, dass neue Sachen lange brauchen, um wirklich akzeptiert zu werden. Und so ist es mit diesem Bereich auch, dass man sagt, naja, man konnte diese Beobachtungen vor 10 Jahren, vor 15 Jahren noch nicht machen. Das können wir jetzt.
Flocks of migratory birds, fish, and even insects, legions of animals are now gathering information. In 2018, an antenna was sent into space and mounted on the International Space Station to receive biologger data from all across our planet. The antenna on the ISS is currently out of action. Now, a small satellite is to take over and circle the world from autumn of 2024. This way, the entire planet is being monitored by animals, and this could help everyone involved.
Ich glaube tatsächlich, dass diese moderne Technologie einen interessanten neuen Zugang zu den Tieren bietet und eine Chance bedeutet, dass wir den Tieren wieder näher kommen, sie besser verstehen können und damit auch besser schützen können.
And maybe prove they have a sixth sense, a sense they could use to warn us about earthquakes, volcano eruptions, or tsunamis.
That's why people are reluctant to study something so uncertain and may not lead to anything. Is it worth doing? I don't know, but as I love animals, so it's as a curious phenomenon, I'm interested to learn more about.
On Simulu Island, a song about animals' predictive abilities has been shared for generations. Every child knows it by heart. It goes, when the animals become agitated, flee to the mountains.
Ich denke, dass wir die Information von Tieren in Zukunft stärker nutzen werden, dass sie für uns unfassbar wichtig ist und dass das darüber hinausgeht, was die ursprünglichen, die eingeborenen Kulturen von den Tieren lernen. Wir können sehr viel mehr lernen, weil wir die ganze Zeit diese Tiere beobachten, nicht nur, wenn wir sie unmittelbar um uns herum haben, sondern die ganze Zeit weltweit.
At some point, this continuous observation may also solve the biggest mystery. Do animals really have these premonitions? And if so, what signals are they receiving? It will take a lot more research to make this knowledge watertight. After all, how do you reliably measure an unknown sixth sense? Possibly here, at an ancient snake festival in Abruzzo, Italy. It's a cross between pre-Christian cult and Catholic festival, where wild snakes are worshipped. And the opportunity. Here, many can be fitted with the latest biologgers, in the heart of the earthquake zone.
Das sind alles Informationen, die wir als Menschen dringend brauchen, um gemeinsam in die Zukunft gehen zu können, um den Planeten zu schützen, um die Tiere zu schützen, aber vor allem auch, um unsere eigenen Lebensgrundlagen zu schützen. Dafür brauchen wir die Information von Tieren.
Who knows? Maybe before the next earthquake, these snakes will become agitated and leave their hiding places, offering us new insights into the secret knowledge of animals.